After these past few months, I can confidently say I've overcome the burnout that's just been building up over the past few years. I know I'm not the only one here, so allow me to share what caused the burnout as well as the 3 solutions that helped me overcome it so that you too can prevent the burnout from happening and at least apply these tips to your life and to apply it today. You see, I want to be a full-time content creator, being able to just make stuff for a living and be closer to family. But to do this takes a lot of time, and being in your 30s makes you feel like your time is short. And if you're planning on being a parent anytime soon, that available time has been cut down even shorter. As a husband, full-time nurse by day, and part-time content creator at night, it seems like there's not enough time to do it all. I often just beat myself up about not being able to finish things after my daytime job. Like, I plan to do something right after I go home from work and I just don't finish it. Unlike other nurses who work 3 days a week, I work 4 days a week and 10 hours at a time, starting my day at 5 a.m. and ending my shift around 3 to 4 p.m. By the time that I get home, I've been forcing myself to accomplish 2 to 3 tasks before I go to bed. And for someone who wakes up at 4 a.m. to get ready for work, sleeping late has been a negative compounding effect for me. If you watch enough personal videos of your favorite content creators, they'll say things like, one of the regrets that they have about content creation is not starting sooner. So I try my best to capitalize on the free time that I have each and every day to think about creating and learning about the business of content creation. I just didn't know how much of this activity would consume me, nor did I know my limits of how much time to actually spend on these things all at different times. I mean, you can hear it as I'm explaining this to you. I ultimately pursued this content creation endeavor with a scarcity mindset. If I don't know what I'm doing, I just try whatever I can and just improve as I go on. Instead of listening to music when I drive, I'd rather listen to a podcast that has some kind of educational thing that I can benefit from. When I watch things, I tend to listen at 2 times speed. To help process this productivity, I have to keep a notebook beside me at all times and log whatever comes across my mind and save it digitally later on during the day. Spoiler, I don't often revisit the notes that I take. And there's just hundreds of other productivity related habits that just consume my life in a negative way. Even when I'm taking breaks here and there, they still never felt enough. I would give myself proper time to take a break, but in that break time, I was never at rest. So I decided to step back and work on something else that I've ignored the past year, my tennis game. I've been playing tennis for 15 years now, but I've been spending less time on the court and more time on the computer to work towards my main goals. By doing this, I've unlocked the first solution to dealing with burnout, and that's doing something else. I used to think that rest was the act of doing nothing, but in reality, rest was the act of not doing anything that caused me to burn out in the first place. Yeah, tennis will make me sweat, increase my heart rate and breathing, then leave me with sore muscles afterwards. But it allowed me to relieve my mental fatigue and revitalize my physical well-being. Doing this enough times made me realize that tennis wasn't actually a waste of time. I had just been telling myself that it was a waste of time driving to and from the courts, and that's not even the play time. So even though it's 1 hour of playing, it's probably closer to 2 hours just to be able to play tennis. So instead of playing tennis, if I wanted to have fun, I decided that I could just save that commute time and play video games instead. I mean, just stay home. But the thing is, video games don't give the same benefits as exercise. So at the beginning of 2024, I committed to exercising weekly by joining a 14-week doubles league. For me, it's tennis. For you, it may be a brisk walk in the park or even time at a trampoline park. An effective mind is a clear one, and sometimes it just takes some cardio to unlock it. But if going outdoors was the only cure to burnout, you'd only have part of the answer to beating it. Another thing that I ignored aside from my tennis game was my communication skills, the social aspect to my health. As a newlywed, I was reminded that good communication is not just between husband and wife or you and God, but also between myself and I. What I'm really referring to is self-talk. Up to this point, I've been doing myself a disservice as I continuously talk down to myself. And tennis players also do this as well. I was not very forgiving towards my shortcomings, and instead I dwelled in my failures, which led to a lower overall self-esteem, self-worth, and continued to build fatigue on my mental health. And as a Christian that claims to believe in grace, it seemed like I imparted it to everyone else around me except towards myself. So lately, I've been focusing on a single creative homework assignment after work, and by doing this, I'm able to focus on my victories more rather than my shortcomings. I wasn't overwhelmed or burdened by the 2 to 3 tasks each day, so I decided that I should just do one. And when I'm not able to complete my homework for the day, instead of counting it as a failure, I see it as one step ahead for the next time that I jump in and work on it. It's just not a life or death situation should I not meet my deadline. But because I know that I will put in the work to meet my goals, I can give myself some grace for those delays. Life happens, and we just have to prove our versatility and adaptability in various circumstances that we just aren't in control of. I mean, be realistic with your daily task. If you can only manage one thing, then do that one thing and do it well. Speak positively when you fall short and when you do well. Some stuff that I say when I fail is, I didn't get to finish what I started today, but tomorrow I can finish that and maybe that next task will be easier. Another one would be something like, I was so busy with other things around the home that I only got to finish an outline for my script. And that's okay, because fortunately now I don't have a blank slate to start with tomorrow because I have an outline. And sometimes I just don't do the task at all. So I just count that towards rest that will compound to better productivity for the next day. I know I may sound a little crazy talking about all this self-talk stuff, but it's helped me. Maybe it's not the way that you normally talk to yourself or even just ourselves in general, but maybe it's worth reconsidering all the complaining and pity parties that we throw ourselves into. Why don't we just give positivity a chance and be kinder to ourselves? Now, all this may sound nice in theory, but one of the biggest hurdles to overcoming burnout was consistency. Specifically, the consistency of good habits. I already proved to myself that I could post a video every week for the past 3 years with bad habits. But how can I do it with good ones? How will I feel? Can I do it better? Can I keep my sanity? Can I be just as productive while still cutting back some stressful assignments? As easy as it is to fall back into bad habits, I knew that if I wanted to make my good habits last, I had to make it even easier for me to keep refreshed, to speak positively, and accomplish all the meaningful tasks that I give myself. So in regards to productivity, I knew that I should just throw away the complicatedness and just keep things simple enough for me to finish what I need to do for the day. For my physical health, tennis, I picked at least one day out of the week to exercise. And the reward that I would get from doing that would be all the endorphins that I get from the exercise and just the overall clearer mind. For positive self-talk, I would just be slower when I speak. Instead of reacting, I would respond to the situations. So I would do more thinking than speaking. This way I'm able to pick and choose the positive words that I used in my own conversations with myself. The reward to this would be less screaming, less disappointment, and more rest from a negative headspace. By doing just these few things, I'm able to tackle future obstacles that demand a clear mind and positive outlook to be able to navigate everyday challenges in my journey to being a full-time content creator and still juggling the other things in my life. As much as I put all the burden, blame, and other responsibilities on myself, I knew that I had to give myself a break and trust that God will make my short strides into greater gains. I proved that I could work and hustle, but what do I have to show for it? A couple hundred videos and a burnt out way of living? Who wants to live like that? So as some people just trust the universe, I put my trust in God's word when he says, "He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." Anybody in their 30s and older will tell you that there's no such thing as a perfect balance of time. You just have to accept that imbalance and just work with what you got. Done is better than perfect, but if it can't be done, get it started or get it going. With the way that I was living, burnout was inevitable. But after my pursuit for peace and rest, it too was inevitable as I continued to persist in that direction. Whew. Hopefully this makes sense to you and you found this helpful. Until next time, just continue to shoot for the life that matters. I'll see ya.